Howdy guys, fishbulbgeek, and I'm back for a more sedate episode today. We're just going to be talking to people in the camp. As you can see, I've switched out my armour because as badass as the Warden Commander stuff was, the fatigue, it was almost 50% of my stamina, and I have to believe that's why I wasn't being able to pull off as many shots as often as I wanted to. So I've gone back to the Drake skin armour. I gave Zevran the ancient elven armor, um, although it doesn't come with the helmet. And I actually looked it up to see where the helmet was, and I needed to trade with the Mad Hermit some very specific items to get that helmet. And I kind of killed him as soon as I saw him, instead of, in fact, talking to him. I probably could have tried that, but I didn't have the items at that point anyway to trade with him, so I probably would have ended up killing him anyway. So I've missed out on the chance for a full set, but even a partial set looks good, and we'll see if we can't get him some kind of cool looking hat or helmet instead of what he's wearing. But I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It's medium armor, and the fatigue on him's not so bad. Alistair is, of course, in Kaelin's gear. Keeping Sten in the Blood Dragon armor for now. I've got the Juggernaut plate stuff ready to go, and the Diligence stuff waiting to go as well, but I want to see what's going to look better on Ogren first, before I decide. Plus, I don't really take Sten anywhere, and I just want him to look pretty, and the armor is pretty, so that's fine. So as far as equipping people, that's all that. So I guess I might as well start talking to people, see if they've got anything to say.
Here I am. Oh, this should be good. What would you like to discuss?
Oh, no, never mind. Maybe I have already talked to him.
Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead.
Ah, no. Yeah, okay, that's, I guess it's not personal if we haven't actually got a personal relationship yet.
Well, the crows would have you believe that it is an involved process that takes years of training. The sort that tests both your resolve and your endurance. Survive that process and maybe, just maybe, you're good enough to start being considered one of them. But quite frankly, the truth is that all it requires is a desire to kill people for a living. It's surprising how well one can do in such a field. Within the crows, I did. But it has been something the crows have devoted a great deal of time to perfecting. An assassin simply specializes in striking from stealth, and in maximizing that first attack to be as lethal as possible. Debilitate your foe, either by poison or by crippling their limbs, makes any follow-up combat you need to engage in that much simpler. I do. It is not something inherent in an assassin's skills, however, merely something complementary. Of course, the crows like to pretend that their abilities are trade secrets, shrouded in shadows and wrapped in a blanket of mystery. So let's just keep this between you and me, shall we?
Okay.
Here I am.
Else? I've already unlocked that, so I'm not going to actually bother that.
Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well now, I imagine that's a very fair question. Being an assassin, after all, is a living, at least as far as such things go. I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So, if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it? To be truthful, I didn't even know the crows existed when I joined them. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased. For 3 sovereigns, I'm told. Which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder. And if you do poorly in your training, you die. Of course, you compete against your fellow assassins, and those who survive are rightfully proud of it. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth, gets you women, and men, or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go.
Well, he's at least honest, and you know what? He's got a trade. The man knows it well. Might as well ply it.
Eventually, can be a very, very long time, if one plays one's cards right. Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so.
Yep,
Here I
just
am.
ticking up all that approval.
Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Oh, you wish to know about Antiva, do you? The only way to truly appreciate it would be to go there. It is a warm place, not cold and harsh like this Ferelden. In Antiva it rains often, but the flowers are always in bloom. Or so the saying goes. It's not really a matter of wanting to go back. I cannot go. At least not yet. I hail from the glorious Antiva city, home to the royal palace. It is a glittering gem amidst the sand, my Antiva city. Do you come from someplace comparable?
Kind of. It's not warm, and might not have been a glittering gem, but it was the home.
Oh, I have never seen that place. I am sure it has its charms, and its dogs. You know what is most odd? We speak of my homeland, and for all its wine and its dark-haired beauties and the lilo flutes of the minstrels, I miss the leather the most. I mean the smell. For years, I lived in a tiny apartment near Antiva City's leather-making district, in a building where the crows stored their youngest recruits, packed in like crates. I grew accustomed to the stench, even though the humans complained of it constantly. To this day, the smell of fresh leather is what reminds me most of home, more than anything else. Oh, not so long, I know. It is my first time away from Antiva, however, and the thought of never returning makes me think of it constantly. Before I left, I was tempted to spend what little coin I possessed on leather boots I spotted in a store window. Finest Antivan leather. Perfect craftsmanship. Ah, but I was a fool to leave them. I thought, Zevran, you can buy them when you return as a reward for a job well done. More the fool I, no? True, and it's a comforting thought. One simply never knows what is to come next. How could I have suspected I would end up defeated by a beautiful Grey Warden, a woman who then spares my life? I could not. I say you are beautiful because it is true. Should I not?
No, by all means. Zevran flirting, you're never gonna get him to stop that.
And glad I am to hear it. Now, if it is all the same to you, I would prefer not to speak more of Antiva. It makes me wistful and hungry for a proper meal.
See, there we go. Inspired minor dexterity. I think I've actually already given him the boots as a gift because I needed to clear out some of my inventory space at one point. So we might not, I don't even know if there's a unique conversation for that, but...
A question, if I may. Well, here's the thing. I swore an oath to serve you, yes? And I understand the quest you're on, and this is all very fine and well. My question pertains to what you intend to do with me once this business is over with, as a point of curiosity. Could I? And what if I didn't wish to leave? Indeed. I might even be glad to call myself such, come to think of it. It is good to know what my options might be, but that is for another time. For now, we have much to do, yes?
Yes.
What's
But I also have...
By all means.
Yes, this is the one, because we picked up in the camp some gloves, like... Is it gloves? I think it's gloves that I can
I
give
know
him as a
little
gift.
enough of the Dalish other than the fact that my mother was one, or so I was told. She had fallen in love with an elven woodcutter and accompanied him back to the city, leaving her clan behind for good. And there, of course, the woodcutter died of some filthy disease, and my mother was forced into prostitution to pay off his debts. Oldest tale in the book. How should I know? My mother was a whore, as you'll recall. None of the other elven boys in the whorehouse knew their fathers. I was not so unusual. I didn't know my mother either, of course. She died giving birth to me. My first victim, as it were. We were all raised communally by the whores. It was a happy enough existence, ignoring the occasional beating. Until eventually I was sold to the crows. I brought a good price, so I hear. My original point is that my mother's Dalish nature was always a point of fascination.
That was a big sigh.
Through all the years of my crow training, the one thing of my mother's that I possessed was a pair of gloves. They were of Dalish make, I knew that much, and beautiful. I had to keep them hidden, of course, as we were not allowed such things. Eventually, they were discovered, and I never saw them again. Not at all. I think of myself as Antiva. Still, that did not stop me from running off to join a clan when I drew near Antiva City once. Naturally, the reality did not live up at all to the fantasies I had constructed as a boy, staring at those gloves. But such is life. Come, enough talk of the Dalish. Let us move on.
Okay. Oh, wrong button. So now we've had that conversation. I think should be simple enough to give him. Yeah, I think if I'd had that conversation with him before giving him the boots, it might have prompted another conversation in addition to that. But I think I've already given him them, so I might have missed it. But I have got this.
Gloves? You're giving me gloves? What for? Maker's breath. You're right. It is like my mother's. The leather was less thick, and it had more embroidery, but these are very close, and quite handsome. Still, I appreciate the fact that you even thought of me. No one has simply given me a gift before. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. I was actually hoping to get him, inspire him to the next level there, but I guess we don't. Still the wrong button. What other gifts do I have? No, that's it. I'm out of gifts for him. I think I've given him a bunch of stuff already. So, like all these booze ones are for Ogren when we get him. So he's gonna like jump right up as soon as he's part of the squad. That's for Alistair. Actually, you know what? I think I gave Alistair a gift that would have prompted a conversation earlier, and I can't remember if I've shown it, because obviously he's up to max romance anyway, so we've already had all of the conversations with Alistair. I just can't remember if I had them on screen. Nah, well, you can always look it up on YouTube if I've missed anything out. So let's give him his gifts. Oh no, make sure we're on.
Is that for me? Really? Wow! Wow!
Yeah, the response is a bit much there, but you can see it doesn't even give him any approval adjustments because obviously he's in love, so that's not that. I think that's probably for Win. As far as conversations with Sten goes, he likes portraits and his sword. I can't remember if I've given him his sword yet. Let's find out. Let's talk to him.
You are not quite as callow as I thought. That is unexpected. You're welcome. I was sent to be the eyes of the Antom. The Arishok asked, "What is the Blight?" By his curiosity, I am now here. Yes. Never. I cannot go home.
Ah, right. Obviously, I have not recovered his sword yet.
It doesn't matter now. Can we move on? We keep the darkspawn waiting. Does it matter? Very well. I caged myself. A weak mind is a deadly foe, as you are no doubt aware. That is complicated. I came to your lands with 7 of the Beresad, my brothers, to seek answers about the Blight. We made our way across the Ferelden countryside without incident, seeing nothing of the threat we were sent to observe. Until the night we camped by Lake Calenhad. They came from everywhere. The earth beneath our feet, the air above us. Our own shadows harbored the darkspawn. I saw the last of the creatures cut down, too late. I fell. I am told no others survived. I don't know how long I lay on the battlefield among the dead, nor do I know how the farmers found me. I only know that when I woke, I was no longer among my brothers, and my sword was gone from my hand. I searched for it, and when that failed, I asked my rescuers what had become of it. I killed them with my bare hands. I did. I knew they didn't have the blade. They had no reason to lie to me. I panicked. Unthinking, I struck them down.
Yeah.
Do your people have no souls as we know them? Convenient for you. That sword was made for my hand alone. I have carried it from the day I was set into the Beresad. I was to die wielding it for my people. Even if I could cross Ferelden and Tevinter unarmed and alone to bring my report to the Arishok, I would be slain on sight by the Antam. They would know me as soulless, a deserter. No soldier would cast aside his blade while he drew breath. If I knew where to look, it would be in my hand now. Near Lake Calenhad. Perhaps those words are empty, but thank you all the same.
Oh, you're welcome. So if we do his quest to get his sword, and there's a bit of back and forth involved in that. I'll do most of that off screen, to be honest. That'll then turn into a gift, like those Dalish gloves I gave to Severin were. Oh. He didn't equip them, did he? I didn't mean for him to if he did. I might have to check that later. So obviously nothing more to this. Alistair, you've seen that, well, the culmination of the romance anyway. We've got our mission from Sten to retrieve his sword. Let's talk to Liliana. We've had the conversation about songbirds in their hair.
I was just thinking about what happened to the elves, and I'm reminded of a song sung to me many years ago. It was when my mother died, and this wise elven woman comforted me and told me that we shouldn't fear death or hate it. Death is just another beginning. One day, we must all shed our earthly bodies to allow our spirits to fly free. It's a beautiful sentiment, I think. One that brings peace and hope to the grieving.
Oh, didn't expect this. Okay, that was unexpected. I actually forgotten about it, but it's a nice song. I think the little animation video is a bit weird, to be honest. It just doesn't look or feel natural when you're watching it. But you know, I kept it in.
Something I can help with? Yes? What's on your mind? My mother was from Denerim, and I consider myself a Ferelden. Mother served an Orlesian noblewoman who lived here when Orlais ruled. When Orlais was defeated and the common folk began to resent the presence of any Orlesian, the lady returned to Orlais. She took my mother with her. I was born in Orlais and did not set foot in Ferelden till much later. Mother was always telling me stories of her homeland. I think she missed it. Mother died when I was very young. Lady Cecily let me stay with her. I had no one else. She was quite old then, and she had me study music and dance to entertain her. It is unfair that I have more memories of Cecily than my mother. Strangely, the only thing I really remember of Mother was her scent. She kept dried flowers in her closet amongst her clothes. Small white Ferelden wildflowers with a sweet fragrance. Mother called them Andrastis Grace. They were very rare in Orlais. But enough about that. Let us move on.
Oh, okay. I suppose I could just give you the gift right now, but I'm going to do the rest of the conversation option first.
Yes? What's on your mind?
Oh, the shoes. I think I've already given her the shoes, but she's going to tell us the story about them anyway.
I miss Val Royeaux. Unlike other cities where the people are the lifeblood and the character, Val Royeaux was her own person, and her people little more than decorations. There was always music in Val Royeaux, streaming from the many windows, quiet refrains and triumphant choruses, and always, floating above that all, the chant, coming from the Grand Cathedral. It was magnificent.
Denerim is not just as magnificent. We've been to Denerim. It's functional and sturdy.
Oh, it would take me a day or two to talk about the many splendors of Orlais, her golden fields, her lush meadows. Of course, there are good things and bad things about Orlais, like anywhere else. Sometimes I miss it dearly, and sometimes I'm glad I'm rid of it. And you will laugh at this, but I miss the fine things I had in Orlais. Dresses, fine dresses and furs, and shoes, of course. One can't mingle with nobility with bad shoes, you see. Orlais is very fashionable, almost ridiculously so. But the shoes! Living with those ridiculous trends was worth it for the shoes.
Oh, I love shoes. I could, no, I don't. What's so special about shoes? I'm Ferelden born and raised to serve my people, and however, I think I'm more functional.
Well, they're shoes. They're pretty. Some of them anyway. When I left Orlais, the fashion was shoes with delicate tapered heels and embellishments in the front. A ribbon, perhaps, or embroidery. In soft colors, of course. It was spring.
I wonder if she'd tell me about them if I carried on like that. Oh, that's... I'll empathize.
I had my eye on a pair my shoemaker was working on. It was covered in pale blue silk with amber beads on the toe. The shoes made in Orlais were exquisite. Not at all like these clunky fur-lined leather boots you have in Ferelden. Ugh, just look at them.
At least they keep the cold out and the mud. Can you imagine how mud would ruin your shoes?
They're sturdy shoes, but sometimes a girl just wants to have pretty feet. Oh, I could talk about shoes all day, but we have things to do, don't we?
Yes, we do. But I'm more interested in prying into your
Help with?
other life.
Yes? What's on your mind?
Yes, this one. I she'll tell you lots of little stories if you want her to, but I'm not going to go into that. I just want to know about this, the life of a bard.
Where did you hear this? And you believe everything you hear? Not all minstrels are spies. Most are just singers and storytellers. But some of them are what we call bards.
See, why would you laugh at me? You've just confirmed that it's true. Idiot.
Bards are minstrels and more. Spies, as you say. Some say there is a bard order, but I don't think this is true. Many bards work alone or in small groups, doing the bidding of a patron who pays for their services. If there is an organization behind it all, no one knows who they are.
Okay, at some point...
Nobles, mostly. In Orlais, there is much rivalry amongst the highborn. They fight over land, influence, and the favor of the Empress. But they cannot do this openly because it is impolite, and in public, they wear smiling faces and pretend to be civil. In secret, they plot and scheme to destroy each other. It is a game completely meaningless to anyone but its players.
Oh, well, I'm not going to say that. That's a bit harsh. Quite a bit. Yes, you were a bard, weren't you? We know you were.
I have revealed too much, it seems. But it doesn't matter what I used to be. It is the past. My skills served me well. But the day finally came when I decided to just put them aside. I found myself in Ferelden and sheltered from bad weather in the Chantry. And when the storm passed, I just did not want to leave. I like to see the Maker brought me here.
Ah, see, moderate cunning, that's good. Oh, can I tease the story out of her now? I'll
Something
try.
I can help with? Yes? What's on your mind?
Oh, no. I might have to get more friendly with her before she'll tell me about her patron. Still the wrong button. So let's try giving her Andraste's Grace at least. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm reasonably certain I've already given her the shoes which would have prompted a conversation. She is partial to other types of gifts, which I've given her because they don't prompt a conversation, like symbols of Andraste, symbols of faith. So I've already given her some of those though, because they're not that special. Andraste's Grace will give us a conversation.
Oh, how dear of you.
Or apparently not.
So much.
Apparently not, but maybe I haven't found the shoes. I don't know. I can't remember where you pick them up. I think I have though.
Something I can help with? Yes? What's on your mind?
Oh, okay. I might take her... Oh, now we've had the conversation, we might have one of those travelling events where we are ambushed. That might be what prompts it now. So we should be able to unearth the story of her history a little bit more shortly. So we've got... Zevran's got his gloves. I already gave him boots, leather boots. We've got the next prompt coming. We're looking for your sword. I'll talk to Wynne. I'll talk to Wynne now. She's already been disapproving mother. Let's go listen to some more.
Oh, it's been a long day. Rest would be welcome. Yes, of course. I am just a little weary. As you may have noticed, I'm no spring chicken. Thank you. You're very kind to say so. But in all honesty, I do not know how many years I have left in me. I have lived for such a long time, but there is always something else to do. And I have to keep going in order to do it. I think I will be glad when I am done.
Mm,
Oh, I don't know. I really don't.
well, that's interesting.
Have you encountered many abominations, apart from the ones in the Circle Tower? You are younger than I, and your nerves yet have some steel in them. Did you feel any fear facing the abominations? The first time I saw
Anything dies if you poke them hard enough.
turned to ice. It was months before the nightmares stopped. It was the knowledge that I could easily become one of them that frightened me the most. One slip. All it takes is one slip, and everything you are is simply gone, replaced by madness. And there is no turning back, or at least that's what they say. Of late, I have begun to wonder if there is any way an abomination can be cured, or if a mage could be so possessed and still retain their sanity, their humanity.
Ah, yes, I see. This is getting to what happened to her in the circle.
Yes, it is madness and cruelty that define abominations. If those are lacking, if the mage remembers the person they truly are, then they are not an abomination. I never saw that. Thank you for showing me another way of looking at it.
Ah, major willpower. Good.
What's on your mind? Oh, yes, and thank you for asking. I'm feeling much better today. I suppose I must be.
So I think we're going to have a little cutscene involving her again. So that's cool. So Dunzevran, Dun Alistair. We've already spoken to Goldana, so we've done that. So we've got a few things coming up shortly. Oh, let's speak to Shale. Is Shale the last person? I think Shale might be the last person.
I see it found some augmentation crystals. I was not even aware it knew about them. Well done. So, what does it think? They don't make me look any wider, do they? I find I'm already too wide as it is. It must be the vertical pattern it put them in. Did it know to do that? It must have. I think it should find some more as soon as possible. I want to glitter from ear to ear, so to speak.
Okay, that was easy.
Oh, that. Merely reflecting on the hopeless nature of the task in front of it. The most likely outcome is that it and its companions will become a stain on some rock for the Darkspawn to tread upon. I shall be moved to a single tear by the tragedy. It's true. One single tear, and then it's off to the north, I think. Or maybe west. I haven't decided. What's that? Did it hear flapping wings? There may be pigeons nearby. We should be alert.
Okay, that was good.
It doesn't have better things to do.
Right, let's try and find out more about the story of Shale.
Oh yes, that I remember quite well. My former master, the Mage Wilhelm, he brought me. As I recall, he had acquired some position with whatever lord ruled the land. I, being little more than a glorified possession at the time, was brought along. Oh, how he enjoyed impressing the villagers with me. Gollum snarl at that villager there, be fearsome. And of course, I would have to do it. He did love using that control rod. Fondled it so much, his wife actually threatened to throw it in the lake. I would have liked to have seen that. Which reminds me, where did it find the rod? Did it pay a great deal for it?
Yeah.
Hag. I'd have happily stomped them all into paste, and then ripped down their little houses and stomped on them, too. In fact, after 30 years of watching them, I'd do it twice. What I didn't like was being ordered to do it. Dangled in front of those frightened morons like some scary thing. Once I was a statue, it took those villagers years before they'd even approach me. The first one to actually work up the nerve to touch me urinated himself. Ugh. That is where Wilhelm kept me. He wanted me out in the open where I could be frightening like a scarecrow. I was supposed to watch for thieves. Pah! Plus, his wife didn't want me indoors. She said there wasn't room for me. Hag.
Ooh, you didn't like her, did you?
I was once larger, 10 feet tall. Then the loathsome hag complained that I couldn't fit through the doors. So the mage had me shrunk down. Can it believe it? And she still wanted me out. With a chisel and a lot of nerve. I traveled with the mage. He did a lot of traveling, I remember that. But where we went, it is rather fuzzy. I remember great battles, fighting many humans long ago. They were all very soft and squishy. And before that, No, there are only images. I was somewhere dark. I have no idea. Wilhelm used to brag that the dwarves stopped making golems centuries ago. I do not age as you soft creatures do. Sadly, my memory is no better. Plus, I get bored and stop paying attention.
It's fair enough.
Good. I was just about done talking about it. It does like to have a good chat now and again, doesn't it?
Ah, Shale approves. I've already given Shale a bunch of gifts. They're just crystals that you find. I really want to unlock the next part of Shale's story. I'm not sure how to go about it.
Different? Different than what? Different than a statue? Different than a log? Should I talk in a monotone? Yes, master, I exist to serve the master. I shall kill for the master and only for the master. Perhaps it expected me to have a booming voice. Recite limericks. I can recite limericks if it likes.
I don't know. I mean, she's going to get annoyed with me if I pick the wrong option. Are they turtle limericks? That would be funny.
I have never met another golem. I have no idea what one might be like, or why I wouldn't be like them. Why? Has it met other golems? Did they not sound as I do?
I don't know what to pick.
Did I say it was bad? It thinks I hang on its every
Bugger.
word, waiting for approval. I don't know what other golems might be like, but I am already superior by virtue of my free will. This is a good thing. So is being drawn and quartered. Maybe I'm not the only one with a smart mouth. Now stop talking so much. The wagging of its moist little tongue is distracting.
Oh, I managed to get +2 out of that. I really thought I'd upset her quite a lot. I don't know if... let's see if there's anything else.
I've watched a lot of humans in my time. It should be aware that I've decided that it is not much like any of them. Good, of course. It doesn't want to have anything in common with all those other filthy substandard human types, does it? Surely it must come from some superior lineage, yes? Some breed of flesh creature that has decided to elevate its genetic stock above its natural shortcomings?
My father was the Terran. Oh, that was the term I was looking for earlier. Terran. Terran of High Ever.
Oh, then that must be it. I knew there had to be some reason, it being a human and all. I would appreciate if it didn't spread around that I said anything. Humans might start to get the wrong idea. They might start thinking their race is not completely hopeless. Indeed. Can it imagine the horror? Oh. Now, let us crush something into a fine paste before it starts to think I've gone all soft. Perish the thought.
That's good, that's good. I wonder if you only get her mission after Orzammar. Now, that is entirely possible. In fact, I think you might.
It speaks.
Oh, never mind. Nothing left for me there. See, actually going into Orzammar is going to be a bit of a tough choice because I want to take Wynn because she's a healer. I want to take Shale because, you know, she's a tiny she's actually really short. Golems are huge. Yeah, no, well, she was shrunk, I suppose. So, yeah, I want to take Shale. And I don't know who else I'm going to take. I mean, Ogren has to come, so Wynn, Shale, and Ogren. I'll give it a shot when we get there, see how it goes. And finally, Morgan, the only person to have the sense for a little privacy. Since I doubt anyone helped her with this, I'm guessing magic was involved in setting up this really awesome tent space. She's living the life of luxury, man.
I await your command. So, full of questions, are you? My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more. I found the game fun. I was too young to understand the truth behind what was happening. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom. Me? No, I never did any of the killing, until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum. Perhaps they did. Still, I do not begrudge them doing what they believe is necessary. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates. And apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
Oh man, she's such a talented voice actress. You can just tell exactly how she feels about it all from that line. If I were a mage, I might think the same. It's true. I have a lot of sympathy for mages in this. I mean, from the Connor experience, we know that if they're uneducated, terrible things can happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be in the circle, though, does it? I mean, clearly the Dalish have mages. And they aren't all running around as abominations or blood mages. I mean, some of them might be, I suppose, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. So, And obviously, Morgan survived, and she wasn't in a circle, certainly not. So, education, I think, is the key, not caging. And we all know how and why it goes horribly wrong anyway, so I do have a lot of sympathy for the mages in this whole series, in fact. I have from the very beginning. Templars, barring a few good ones, by and large are animals. They're brutes. So's the Chantry, to be fair.
Thank you for small favors, then, at the very least. Enough of this talk.
Ah.
Let us return to the task at hand.
I thought that would get more approval. I mean, let's be fair. I can't say I agree completely. I'm not a mage. That would surely colour my thing. Oh, well, okay. Maybe I overthought that.
I await your command. So, full of questions, are you? Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I? Oh, what luck. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time, I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
Well, of course she would go back to the wilds. That's where she lived.
For the most part, Flemeth taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
Yes, it does.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
It makes sense. What happened to the poor man? Well, I'm not that upset about it. Who knows what would have happened to Morgan after all. And I'm not surprised that you're good. Actually, I am surprised that you're a good liar. You can't hide your feelings for shit.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Were you upset by all the bad touching? You don't know she was in... Yeah, she was probably enthralled when she did that.
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Yet here you are. Oh. You're right, I'm glad it worked out this way at least.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
That was a good conversation, and Alistair's not a simpleton, he's just incredibly sheltered and incredibly naive, and that makes him sweet and endearing. Also, a little dumb, I will be honest.
I await
It's
your
part of his
command.
charm. Right. Let's see, have I got any other conversations here before we get personal?
So, full of questions, are you?
Hmm.
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
Human. Human's a good choice. An old woman, powerful Maleficar. We don't necessarily know she's a Maleficar, because Maleficar are blood mages. She's a powerful apostate. A nutty. I'm not going to say nutty old bat. Human, with a question.
Oh, she certainly was human. Once. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I've heard a little of it. Actually, that's one of the stories you can get Liliana to tell you.
No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire. As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her. Many centuries before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord, who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
This seems like a fair deal. No, it doesn't.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge. That was not the point. Conabar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies. The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Now, we've already given her Flemeth's grimoire because one of our quests is to go and confront Flemeth without Morgan in the party, because the legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters. Let's see if she'll actually tell us it again.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one, and these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too. The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Well, we already know from finding her grimoire that Flemeth intends... She has daughters, but she possesses the daughters to give herself a new body and new life. So perhaps one day Flemeth will eat your heart. Well, yes, not quite eating her heart, but she's going to try to possess you.
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
And we are going to kill her. Do you believe her version? I'm not going to ask that because it's obvious that it's a version of a story.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless. Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Oh, Morrigan, you do have a heart. That was empathy, my dear.
I await your command. So, full of questions, are you?
Never mind. I'm going to ask the personal question.
I await your command. We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Oh, never mind. Okay, so we've done really well talking to Morgan. We already have our mission from giving her the grimoire later. She would have had a whole conversation about looking for it otherwise. Allied supply crates. Can I give anything to them yet? Yeah. Oh, metal shards, yes. I think I only have one, but still. You can have my death root. You can have my deep mushrooms. I'm not exactly sure of the mechanics behind it, but it's turning in things for your allies, like the runes. I've turned in runes for the mages, character materials for the Dalish, coins for the Eamon's Knights. You can have 2 sovereigns. Gives you experience and somehow, and it's rather nebulous how.
Generous as always, Warden.
Yeah, it improves them, so presumably they'll last longer in battle. Maybe upgrades to armor or attack or something like that. So that was rather lengthy. They do go on a bit, these companions of mine. They are rather chatty people. Let's end it with giving Dog a bit of a play.
Look at what your fool dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables. The dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again.
Oh. Okay. I forgot Dog had some fun stuff.
Dog is filthy. I can smell him 50 yards off. That may be, but all the same, I would like your permission to bathe him.
Peppered and powdered laptop. Well,
I suppose that's true. Just make him sleep over on the other side of the camp, with Alistair. With any luck, that will keep all the stench confined to one small area.
Are you implying Alistair doesn't bathe? I'm sure I would have made Alistair bathe before having our romantic scene. In fact, I'm sure everybody would have made Alistair bathe at some point or another just to be clean and not disease-ridden.
You are a true warrior and worthy of respect.
Oh, wow. Yes. My dog used to do that when she was younger and a puppy. And probably up until about 2 or 3 years old, she used to have a terrible habit of just digging up the garden. But I'm not quite sure how we trained her out of it. Maybe she just decided to... I mean, we did move, actually, so maybe that helped stop her digging habit. Maybe it was just that particular first house. But, yeah. It is such a dog thing to do, in my experience, anyway. So, okay, that was fun. That was cute. So, this one is an episode that, if you're not interested, is entirely skippable. So, if you have stayed to watch it all, then thank you for joining me. I've enjoyed uncovering all these little side quests to do with the companions. I like doing these things. It's completionist to me. I like talking to everyone and getting to know everyone, and it's kind of part of the charm. You fall in love with the characters, or certainly I did. Even the ones I don't like, I still think they're a very good addition to the team because, you know, strengths and weaknesses, human nature is flawed and all that jazz. So when we set off, we are going to probably have a couple of random combat encounters due to some of the things we've done. That'll give us more quests to complete. But yes, next time we are off to Orzammar, where we will do all things dwarven, and that's going to be a long part because there is a lot to do in Orzammar. So, thank you for joining me. I hope you'll join me next time. Ta-ta for now.